Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Kaushal this side and I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to discuss widget modification in jQuery UI. So far in this playlist we came across widgets and we saw several types of widgets and their usage. Now we'll discuss how to modify those widgets. So before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates on programming videos. So without any further delay, let's get started. A widget is an application or a component of an interface that enables a user to perform a function or access a service. This was the definition of widgets, and we know how to use certain widgets like the date picker widget, accordion widget, tooltip widget, and many more such widgets, right? So let's suppose a scenario now wherein we are already using a widget in our program and we have customized the widget according to our needs. Now, what we want is we want to change the property of a widget by clicking on a button. How we can achieve this thing? We can't write the whole thing again, right? Here comes the concept of widget modification in jQuery UI. What we need to do is we need to modify a particular property of a specific widget. Is it possible in jQuery to do so? The answer to this question is yes. It is possible to modify any widget property in jQuery with the help of specific methods. Let's go through the programming part directly and you guys will understand it much better. We'll use the dialog box widget and then we'll try to modify a particular property of that widget. So let's write the code again so that you guys can get a fair idea of what's coming. What we'll do is we'll write here inside the body tag, we'll create a division. So for that we'll use the div tag. The ID is going to be, let's say, dialog for the dialog box, and we'll define the title here as well. So let's say the title of our dialog box is going to be title 1. We'll close the div tag. Now inside there we'll write this is a customizable dialog box. Fine. Save the program and you can see we have the text over here which says this is a customizable dialog box. Now we have to add the dialog box. For that we are going to use the jQuery UI widget. But before that, let's add some buttons over here as well. We'll add two buttons because we have two different properties. So we'll write here button and the ID is going to be btn1 for button 1 and the name is, let's say, get. Fine. We'll add another button. For that we'll write here button, ID is going to be btn2 and the name of this button is going to be set. Save this program and you can see we have two buttons over here. We have the get button and the set button. Now this is going to be a basic dialog box. The next thing we'll do is we'll move to the jQuery part and we'll write some code there. So here we are in the JavaScript file and what we'll do is we'll write here $. We'll access this whole division. So for that we'll write here hash and the ID is dialog for the division. Then we'll write here dot dialog. This is a method, so we have to use parenthesis over here and then we'll use curly braces to define all the properties of this dialog box widget. Now inside here we'll write properties. So let's say we are writing here draggable and we are passing this property as true for now. Then we'll write here resizable and the property value is going to be true again. Then we'll write here close on escape. We'll write here true for this one as well. Now the next property we are going to use is the model property. We'll write here false for model and then we'll use the auto open property. Fine, we'll write here auto open and then we'll write here true and that's it. So what we are doing here is we are defining the customizations allowed in this particular widget. I hope you guys already have an idea of what we are doing because we have discussed it in the dialog box widget video. Now save the program and you can see we have a dialog box with title as title 1 and inside it we have a message which says this is a customizable dialog box. If you try to drag this dialog box, you can see we are able to do that because we have defined the draggable property to true. And we can also resize this because the resizable property is also set to true. Now What we want is we want to change a particular property on a button click, right? For that, we have to use the click event with the buttons. So we'll use the click event with buttons first, and then we'll use methods. Fine. So first of all, we'll write here dollar. The ID for button 1 is btn1, which is the get button. Then we'll write here dot click, and we'll create a function over here. Fine. And we have the body of this function. Now inside this we'll write alert, and let's see if this button is working or not. We'll print a message. So we'll write here get is working. Save the program. Click on the get button. You can see we have a message with get is working as output. Now copy this piece of code and we'll do the same thing for set button as well. We'll change the button ID to btn2, and instead of get we'll write here set. Save the program. Click on set over here. You can see this button is also working fine. So basically we were checking if these buttons are working or not. We'll comment this piece of code for now. Now the idea is to get the value of any particular property and then change it, right? For that we have two methods in jQuery UI, the getter method and the setter method. The getter method is used to get the value of any particular property, and the setter method is used to change that particular value. You can also go through the documentation present on the jQuery UI official website, but let me just tell you about these methods. The syntax for the getter method goes like this. What we have to do is we have to take a variable that will store the value. So for that we'll write here var model, let's say. Then we'll access this dialog box. We have the ID as dialog for that. Then we'll write here dot dialog, and inside brackets we have to pass two parameters. One is the option and the second one is going to be the name of that particular property. So we'll write here option. Option refers to these properties. So basically we are telling the computer that we want to access these particular properties. The option parameter will remain the same for all jQuery widgets. The second parameter is going to be the name of a particular property. So let's say we are writing here model, and on saving the program, if we click on the get button, the output we'll get is false because the model property is initially set to false. Click on the get button, but before that we have to write here some more things. So what we'll do is we'll print the model variable inside the alert method. So we'll write here alert model, save this program, click on the get button. You can see we have the output as false because this is the initial value of this model property. Now let's move ahead and we'll try to change this property to true now. For that we have the setter method in jQuery UI. The syntax for setter method is almost the same. We'll copy this piece of code from here. We'll paste it here inside this, and now what we'll do is we'll pass one more parameter over here. The third parameter is going to be the change. So till now the value of this model property is false, but what we want is we want to change it to true. So we'll write here true, save it now, click on the get button. You can see the output is false. Click on OK. Now click on the set button. You can see there's no change in the browser, but click on the get button again and you can see the output is changed to true. This means that the model property is now set to true. Fine. We can change any property by using these methods. So let's try this thing with some other properties as well. What we'll do is we'll write here instead of model, let's say we are writing here draggable. Fine. So the initial value of draggable was true. What we'll do is we'll write here draggable again and we'll change this to false now. Fine. Save the program, click on get. You can see the output is true because the initial value of draggable property was true. Now click on set and you can see we are not able to drag this dialog box anymore, right? This is because the draggable property is now set to false when we clicked on this set button. Click on get again and you can see the property is false. So this is how the widget modification in jQuery actually works. We can also change the height and width of this dialog box. For that we have to define the height and width over here. Let's define them. We'll write here height. Height is going to be, let's say, 250, and we'll define the width as well. So the width is going to be, let's say, 250 again. Fine. So here we have the dialog box. The height and the width are 250 pixels. We can resize it obviously because the resizable property is true. Now what we want is, we want the height. So inside this getter method, we'll write here height and click on the get button after saving this. Click on get. You can see we have the height is 250 pixels. Now what we want is, we want to change the height, right? We'll write here height again. Now the new height is going to be, let's say 300 on clicking the set button. Save the program. Click on get. The initial height is 250. Fine. Click on set. You can see the change in the height. Click on get again. You can see the height is changed to 300 pixels now. Fine. So this is how we can make modifications in the widgets afterward. And this thing remains the same for all the widgets in jQuery UI. The name of the widget is the only thing that will change. Rest everything will remain the same. Now the task for you guys is to use these methods with other widgets as well, and let us know if you find any exceptions. That's all for this video guys. See you in the next one, where we'll go through draggable interaction in jQuery UI. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comments below. Share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe SimpliCode. Thank you.